Without debate, without criticism, no administration can continually function, no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to ensure the maintenance of such administration, countries, and republics by corroborating the spirit of intelligent debate. A very pleasant morning. I am Sayyid Imad Hussain.
And I am Said Bazila Kirmani, and today we, on behalf of the Debate Club and the entirety of DPS Srinagar, have the privilege of welcoming all of you to this exhilarating intellectual battleground where ideas clash, perspectives collide, and sharp minds argue to prove their points. Welcome to the annual Inter-School Debate 2023. With immense pleasure, we introduce our judges, Dr. Suhail Ahmed and Dr. Masood A. Malik. Dr. Suhail Ahmed, an accomplished professional in the realm of journalism and mass communication, currently holds the esteemed position of heading the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication at the Government College for Women. Dr. Ahmed's impressive academic journey includes teaching at the Department of Convergent Journalism, Central University of Kashmir, and Media Education Research Center, University of Kashmir. His areas of specialization include news reporting and news editing. He has worked as deputy editor with the English daily Rising Kashmir, as associate editor with the Mirror of Kashmir, and as sub-editor with Daily Italat. We are truly honored by your presence, sir. Thank you for gracing our event. Dr. Masood A. Malik is a distinguished figure in the field of education with over 2 decades of experience in teaching English language and literature at the undergraduate and postgraduate levels. Presently, he serves as the principal of the Government Degree College, Kashmir. Not only has he headed the Department of Functional English for a remarkable 2 decades, but has also made significant contributions to academia with his publications in esteemed national and international journals. Furthermore, Professor Malik is a renowned speaker, having delivered keynote addresses and plenary talks, presented papers at numerous conferences and seminars. His expertise extends beyond the classroom, as he is a proficient teacher trainer and an expert in the innovative use of ICT for language teaching. Sir, your presence elevates the quality of this event. Thank you for your valuable time.
Intelligent debate is a thing of magnificence and elegance. We hope to see such magnificent and elegant behavior from our participants today.
Today we shall embark on a journey to understand and perhaps even celebrate the ever-evolving tapestry of human culture, particularly Kashmiri culture. For the motion at hand today is the evolution and modernization of Kashmiri culture should be appreciated. I repeat, the evolution and modernization of Kashmiri culture should be appreciated. Humans are complex, dynamic beings, ever-changing, forever evolving. And culture is but the culmination of shared values, customs, traditions, beliefs, art, language, and so on, of a community of them. So, as people evolve and change, so does their culture. This makes our world a place in constant motion, where traditions meet technology, innovation dances with heritage, and the past and present converge in a breathtaking display of human creativity. This way, human cultures prosper and flourish, and this cultural metamorphosis and the nature of change merit our appreciation.
Evolution, and to an extension modernization, is something that has formed the basis of human advancement for our entire period of existence. But when we take this process out of Mother Nature's hands, not making it just pure chance, is it evolution or humans meddling in matters out of their comprehension? Is this appreciation really advancement or a precursor to the touch of Midas? Moving on to the order of interaction of each participating school. We have Kashmir Harvard Educational Institute, followed by Burnhall, Presentation Convent, Doon International, APS, Birla Open Minds, GD Goenka, Green Valley, International DPS, SRM Belkan Higher Secondary School, SP Model Higher Secondary School, and finally, DPS Srinagar. We invite Hadia Hanif of Kashmir Harvard, speaking in proposition of the motion.
We would also request Mohammad Adin, speaking in opposition of the motion, to come on the stage. We shall start with the proposition speaker.
Good morning, everyone. Kashmiri culture, like a majestic river, has evolved over centuries, paving its way throughout the history. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates and honorable chairs, I am Hadia Hanif, the delegate of Kashmir Howard, and I am going to speak in proposition of the motion. Ladies and gentlemen, Kashmiri culture is a very beautiful culture that we know. Kashmiri culture has always been evolving throughout the centuries. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to know that if I speak in proposition, I want you all, evolution of any culture is as important as the oxygen is to life itself. The points that I want to put forth in order to prove my point is that the culture, it is not stagnant. It is a living entity that has thrived for generation and wants to thrive for adaptability and dynamism. Modernization and evolution in this context does not mean abandoning one's culture. It means evolving throughout the history. It means embracing new changes while still holding on to the core values of our culture. The certain examples that I want to quote, how modernization can help in the modernization and evolution can help in the culture. It is, first of all, it can be the evolution of the language and literature. How language and literature can be modernized and evoluted is we can use some digital platforms, some digital apps that can help preserve our traditional scripts, preserve our Kashmiri culture, and which will promote it into the future for the future generation. The second thing is the cuisines of Kashmir. Kashmir is known for its rich flavors, and by introducing modernization and evolution to the same, we can enhance our cuisines and make it more suitable, make it more appalling for the better audience. We can also improve our music. We can improve the old music that we have been playing throughout the centuries, because music holds a very important significance in our Kashmiri culture, from the weddings to any of the gathering, be it religious or the Sufiana kalams and all that. It holds a very great significance in our Kashmiri culture. So it can be blended with the contemporary styles to make it more beautiful and make it appalling and appealing to other audience, to a wider audience as well. In conclusion, I'd like to say that evolution does not mean abandoning one's culture. Instead, it means evolving the same culture while holding on to your core values. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. The side proposition may start.
The resilience of the Kashmiri culture is like the chinar tree, standing tall and steadfast through the seasons of change. Honorable adjudicators, formidable opponents, and respected audience, a very good morning to all of you. I, Muhammad Adan, stands in front of you today, firmly, humbly, and proudly, going against the notion which suggests that evolution and modernization of Kashmiri culture should be appreciated. As already introduced by the hosts, what a culture means, I'd like to do it once again. A culture simply means a set of beliefs, customs, ideas, or traditions of a particular people or a particular society. So when you put these two words, ladies and gentlemen, modernization and culture in the same sentence, they contradict each other, they repel each other. Because if you modernize a culture, you are changing the original beliefs, thoughts, ideas, traditions of the people. Hence, the culture loses its authenticity, and the people, they lose their identity. The proposition has already spoke about how modernization is important, but they have not shown the evil side, the darker side of modernization. The opposition would like to put forth many arguments that will prove that why this modernization should not be appreciated. First, the opposition would like to give the examples of many regions, nations, and countries which have been modernized, but they have lost the beauty, the authenticity of their cultures. The opposition would first like to put forth the example of the Native American cultures in the North America. The evolution in North America has led to significant disruptions in their local traditions, in their native traditions. Forced relocations, cultural assimilations, and imposition of European customs has led to significant disruption and erosion of the native cultures in North America. And I'm not cherry picking examples, ladies and gentlemen. I can give you numerous examples, but time doesn't allow me to do so. So let's straight jump into the Kashmiri culture. Though the ideology of modernization sounds very good on paper, the implementation and execution are very rare. In the name of modernization, westernization is spreading in Kashmir like forest fire, and it's burning the roots of the Kashmiri culture. Clothing, language, music, and the entertainment industry are regarded as the few key elements of our culture, and the opposition would like to speak about them one by one. If we speak about the clothing of the West has become so prevalent, especially in the younger generations, that seeing someone wear a traditional attire is an unusual sight. Let's talk about language. The failure to promote our mother language has made the newer generations see to it as an inferior one. Let's talk about the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry of Kashmir has completely collapsed because the Western media has took over the youth, and it's not a good takeover. It's a takeover which brainwashes the youth and makes them think that the way of living of the West is a superior one. And if we talk about the music, not only the Western music, but musics from different parts of the world have replaced our traditional music. That was from the opposition side. Thank you so much.
Points well made, sir. Thank you so much. Now we would like to call Ahmad Ali speaking in proposition of the motion from Burnhall.
And Javed Ansari speaking in opposition of the motion from Burnhall.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ladies and gentlemen, respected audience and the respected jury, greetings and salutations. So, when I heard about this topic here, I was pretty much fascinated to know that we have come up here to talk about the modernization and evolution of our beloved culture. To be honest, there are a lot of things that need to be seen in this rapidly changing world. Some issues are coming rapidly and inevitably due to this globalization and rapidly changing world. Now, I will say that modernization is the way forward to end these issues and find a solution. Of course, you might be thinking that what are these issues? So first of all, let me talk about the need of adaptation to a global world. To be honest, if we will see the Kashmiri culture, for it to be relevant in this rapidly changing world, we need to see that how we are modernizing and how the evolution is working in the bigger sense. And what comes up there is that we need to get rid of some of our elements in our culture which are hindering the progress. Not make it an issue of our ego, but rather make it as a way forward, to move way forward. Now, I'll give an example of the Republic of Singapore. Singapore, if you will see there, they are financially amazing. They have preserved their cultural heritage and amazing racial harmony, amazing financial credential, amazing, it's amazing. But they have maintained their cultural heritage. That is what I mean to say. We can do it, not make an issue of an ego. Now, secondly, I would like to say that, ladies and gentlemen, this issue is something which a person with a tad of humanity would agree upon with me. And that is none other than the heinous abuse faced by the third gender community in Kashmir. These people are present everywhere in our marriages here in Kashmir, known as Manzim Mures. And these people, they've suffered the most from our world-renowned culture. And now you'll say why? They are lacking in literacy. According to a research paper launched by Yasir Ashraf, who is a PhD, it comes out that the literacy rate of these people is as low as 42%. Isn't that deplorable? Isn't that disgusting? The opposition kindly move forward and get a solution to this issue. And let us work forward to find a solution to this issue. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
In the enchanting meadows of our beloved Kashmir, I am reminded of these verses by Amir Khusro. Agar firdos dar rohe zami ast, hami ast to hami ast to hami ast. If there is a paradise on earth, it is this, it is this, it is this. A very good morning respected judges, ladies and gentlemen, honorable jury. Today, we are here to deliberate on an important matter. The topic is a matter which is close to our hearts. It stirs our soul and demands our careful consideration, and yet the time is very little. Modernization. Let me make it abundantly clear. I am not against change or progress, but I am against the erosion of our culture under the guise of modernity. But what is modernity if we are to accept the Western model without question? We must not be swayed by the allure of a one-size-fits-all world. The Sufi mysticism, the craftsmanship of the Pashmina, the melodies of the Santur and the timeless grace of the Perran are all jewels in the diversity of the world's mosaic, and they must be cherished. In fact, let me bring it to your awareness that the core building blocks of modernity, that is the freedom of expression, equality, freedom of thought, they are already present in our culture, as exemplified by the inspiring story of a Hindu woman who taught spirituality to a Muslim man. This woman was no other than Nal Ded, and her student was Sheikh Nuruddin Wali. We are often blinded. The preposition often argues that culture and progress cannot go hand in hand. Well, I think of no better example than that of Japan. Japan is a country which has retained its distinct culture while becoming one of the top 5 economies and becoming one of the front runners of the world. What I mean to say is, ladies and gentlemen, it is our duty to not underestimate the efforts, the adaptability of our culture, the resilience of our culture to change to the fast-changing world. And the pre-planned, there's a grave sin that the proposition is arguing for. That is the pre-planned and artificial revamping of our culture. Kashmir's culture doesn't need our version of modernity and evolution, but rather our culture is an unending story of growth, progress, and value creation since times immemorial. Our culture may not be the best of cultures. We may not have the best of languages, but they are something we can call our own. They are something we can identify with. It is a place we can call home. And all of you, ladies and gentlemen, I call upon all of you, as it is our collective obligation, to make sure that our future generations have a language they can speak, art forms they can cherish, a dress they can wear, and a past from whose mistakes they can learn, and an identity and heritage that they feel proud of. So, ladies and gentlemen, all I mean to say is letting go of our culture under the guise of modernity is like pruning a great, magnificent tree in the name of progress. And all I wish is that all of us make sure that our love for our homeland is the primary force behind each and every one of our steps. With that, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you so much, participants. You may move. Now we have Shazeh speaking in proposition of the motion from Presentation Convent.
And Janisa speaking in opposition from Presentation Convent.
A very pleasant morning, everyone. I am Shanze and I stand in favor of the motion. Pashmina, Shatos, Tusha, my dear audience. Let me ask you a question. Would you buy a Pashmina shawl in accordance to its affordability and accessibility? You wouldn't, right? So being the astute folks that we are, your typical Pashmina shawl got a facelift and could now be seen in a variety of stoles and scarves, which to our benefit made Pashmina more affordable and accessible. That I call modernization. Ladies and gentlemen, by simply removing the karab, people started wearing ferens more frequently, from work to casual outings, even to weddings. This successful evolution of the feren is a product of modernization. It has catered to the fact that English language has been greatly induced in our jargon. This should be celebrated, not feared. It is through this modernization that the voice of Kashmir is resonating on global stages. It is an absolute shame that it took the likes of a mainstream label such as Coke Studio for us to discover our vast treasure of folklore, our Vanvun. For us to hum along to a rhythm that perpetually belongs to us. A point worth mentioning is that embracing modernity contributes to economic growth and development. For example, Shah Hamdan, he first came to Kashmir in 1372 AD. Back then, he taught us skills that the people would continue to use for centuries to earn a livelihood. Now to think that by abiding by the customs prevalent 700 years ago, one can even crawl in the race of the modern world is impractical. It is due to modernization that people are shifting to e-com businesses and prospering in the modern world. Be it running a home bakery to selling harsa and achar online, no job is looked down upon. Modernization gave everyone the right to a respectful life. Even the new national education policy caters to the growth of unorthodox professions and coincides with the idea of evolution and modernization. Be it increase in tourism, better infrastructure, countless job opportunities, the fact is that modernization is a deliberate and chosen process that upholds our culture's fundamental values. It is a testament to the spirit of the people who refuse to be bound by the limitations of the past. Now, my dear audience, the choice is yours. Will you be hostages of the past or welcome the future? Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. I am Janasa Bhatt, speaking in opposition of the motion. Back in 2018, I went to Rajasthan. During our stay there, I realized how important their unbothered and untailored culture was for them. Now imagine, had I experienced a duplicate culture, per se my own, or of West, what good would have that trip served me? We take huge pride and honor in calling ourselves Kashmiris. But is there anything bare minimalistic we do to deserve that title? We paradoxically have made dilution of our culture our fundamental aim. I essentially view culture as the lens through which we see the world. Consider invisible backpack. Culture is tacit, and a human, in the scenario Kashmiri, is the bearer. Like a fish in water. A fish doesn't know it's in water until you take it out. And what happens when you take it out? It dies. So does one's cultural identity in the name of modernization. It took Kashmiris a lot of time to rise from slavery to manhood, which was only possible due to Kashmir's distinctive culture. And what is happening now? Self-sufficiency has decreased in Kashmir due to reasons like, 1, steady death of Kashmiri handicrafts. Somehow unemployment and waste of time on social media and gaming is preferred over meaningful and honest crafts. 2nd, how many of us are aware of terms like Namd, Gab, Kanstamahal, Kadraban with immense health benefits, all unfortunately being replaced by Western and Asian products? A person mustn't be judged on the basis of what is it that they wear. We all know that, right? Then how pathetic is the fact that if somebody decides to dress in more of a traditional way, they're labeled as primitive, which again is the ramification of modernization, hair closely knit with westernization. Kashmiri Pandits out there have managed to secure Kashmir's culture in the most sanctified form, without any renewal. Isn't that utter disappointment on our part? Ironically, language extinction is the quietest of all. What's not minded is wasting 78 years of hard work of all Kashmiris who'd helped design our language, which nowadays is considered to be a mark of inferiority. Modernization has already ended the historical concept of Sufism in Kashmir. The reason why Kashmir is called as Pirwar, rather was called as Pirwar. There were times when people were crazy for Ladi, Shahrukh, Chakar. I remember enjoying Kashmiri skits of Ahidraz and typical Chavani of Shadi Lal on channels put forward by Kashmir's own broadcasting stations, which have been subjugated by these changes. Ladies and gentlemen, modernization and development are two different terms. What Kashmir requires is development in respects such as economy. Kashmir's culture is striking the way it is. It doesn't deserve to be remodeled. And with this, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, participants. You may move. Now, we would like to invite Nooreen Fatima, speaking in proposition of the motion from Doon International.
And Ainul Sabah, speaking in opposition of the motion from Doon International.
Well, all of you know I am going to speak in English. Yes, I will speak in English because I know how to speak in English. That doesn't mean it will bring perils to my Kashmiri culture. It gives me a sense of connectivity and it in no way harms my culture. Hypocrisy, it is, my fellow dwellers, that if we are so much against the concept of modernization, then why do we use the very English language to represent our culture on international platforms? Greetings and salutations. Today I would be supporting the motion in hand. But firstly, change in cultural approach is evolution, but change in cultural structure is modernization. Psychological advancement is evolution, but technological advancement is modernization. For instance, the Kashmiri Pandits, who were once in pain due to cultural alienation, are able to find their roots, R-O-O-T-S, back because of the roots, R-O-U-T-E-S, provided by modernization. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sharda radio station has revolutionized the way we look at our own culture. Is that not modernization? Our society is yet so ashamed of talking about women trafficking. What about the Mughal rule or the Pathan rule, when the practice of forced prostitution was in vogue? According to the National AIDS Control Organization, the brothel workers in Kashmir during the late 20th centuries were killed and burned alive. Who are we kidding at this stage, ladies and gentlemen? Ourselves. When a female child was born, she was placed in water pots and buried while reciting the given lines. Oh Lord, give me a son but never a daughter. Ironically, while I was coming here, I saw women riding and driving. These are the very people who were once not allowed to go out of their houses uncovered. This is a tangible example that modernization has made Kashmir a rational society. In fact, the spread of Western education, technological advancement, or coming of Christian missionary has brought, as Franz Kafka calls it, metamorphosis, and not the notorious diaspora, or a genocide, because culture never died, yet it is revived back every single time. I am not a Kashmiri people, but I know about your culture. Does that make me rootless? Does the heterogenic version of your culture in any way decrease your cultural authenticity? It's high time people to realize that Kashmiri language being vulnerable is not modernization. Ferrin being scarcely worn is not modernization. These are the test of time which we have to withstand, as the cost of an utopian nation is extremely expensive. For the last time, people, the argument is that to improve is to change, but to develop is to change often. Thank you so much.
Okay, greetings, everyone. I, Ainul Sabah, representing DPS Srinagar, and I stand against the motion. Modernization, evolution. What comes to your mind when you hear these words? Modern society, popular culture, talk of the time. Is that what you believe? Well, now that's simple. Modernization and evolution are two different terms, but they are highly interdependent. Now, let's be very practical. Hasn't modernization brought us evolution since past 50, 60 years? Rather, a very rapid evolution. Now, on the other hand, we have the culture which provides us morals, background, and most importantly, our identity. And somehow, by modernization, if we ruin our culture, there will be a time when we will question ourselves that why are we Kashmiris? You know, this will lead to the scattering of people in the region of Kashmir. And scattering of a region is never gentle, it's always painful. Now, the question is that how will modernization destroy our culture? Today is Saturday, and I bet 30 to 40% of my audience will have to attend marriage tomorrow. Now, bringing marriage into considerations, earlier, marriage of Kashmir used to be 1 or 1.5 day decent functions. But with the introduction of modernization, we see marriage of Kashmir last for more than a week. You know, studies have shown that average middle-class Kashmiri wedding ranges from 20 to 24 lakhs. Okay, now simply multiply this number with the number of people getting married. You will be surprised to know that it adds up to an amount which can meet the expenses of Kashmir's annual budget. And what about the people who cannot afford such modernized practice? Isn't it a burden on them? Hasn't the beauty of culture been morphed into a burden by modernization? Hasn't the concept of materialism been hitting our Kashmiri society because of modernization? Okay, I'll take another example of Kashmiri Pandits. You know, Kashmiri Pandits, they had a profound impact on cultural and religious practices of Kashmir, but their disintegration somehow led to the disruption in their cultural practices. Now, we know that Kashmiri Pandits are very dynamic and flexible to all the cultures. But the question is that why do they still feel alienated? Because deep down inside, they have the sense of cultural loss. Do you know that Kashmiri Pandit diaspora still continues to maintain and revive their cultural practices rather than to adapt to complete modernized alterations? This is because the very true essence of culture is being ruined by modernity. You know that, ladies and gentlemen, it's very unfortunate to say in the name of cultural modernization, cultural genocide is being practiced. I would like to tell that in the name of modernity, your culture is being ruined. Very well then. Modernization is taking your culture away from you without even letting you know. Because what at the world at the verge of conserving culture, so it's the time to strengthen our cultural identities and Never let the modernity take our originality of Kashmiri culture. Thank you.
We see that our Honorable Chairman, Mr. Vijay Sir, has joined us. Sir, we welcome you from the bottom of our heart and we are very grateful for your presence. Thank you so much.
Now we have Krishna Manohar speaking in proposition of the motion from APS Srinagar.
We invite Asad Bakshi speaking in opposition of the motion from APS Srinagar.
One of the major reasons for its survival and its success of human race is its ability to evolve and modernize. If we do not possess such a quality, then our progress would have been stagnated and, dare I say, rotten or probably extinct. Should we want Kashmir to be stagnated or worse, rot? If no, then I am here speaking for you. So the culture of Kashmir we're going to talk about is a vibrant tapestry of various cultures interwoven together. It's as much as the course of Jahannam. When we merge these Kashmiri cultures, art, music and craftsmanship with other cultures, we create something that's truly captivating and unique. A very warm good morning to respected jury members, teachers and all dear delegates present here. Today I, Krishna Manohar, am not just a speaker, but also a voice for all those who believe that modernization and evolution of Kashmiri culture should be appreciated. Just pause and ponder. Do we think the present-day Kashmiri culture is the only Kashmiri culture? The contemporary culture as it stands today owes its very existence to the unyielding march of modernization and evolution. A vivid example is that before the 14th century, the people of the valley ate a predominantly vegetarian diet. But after the introduction of the Arabs, a dramatic transformation occurred, leading the palate to a meat-based one. And from this blend of culture came the legendary Wazwan, a testament to the ever-changing tides of culture. The cultural evolution and modernization has always stuck to its sacred values and timeless ethos. It has always soared to new heights, sculpting itself again and again, but always stuck to its methods. And one such method is education. Can anyone here truly stand against the profound influence of education? Silence prevails. Education has found itself as an indispensable cornerstone of cultural evolution. An example of this is sati, an inhumane and tyrannical practice, has been a part of Kashmiri culture. But this inhuman practice is a continuation has came to an end due to education. Education itself teaches us to stay in touch with our roots. But yet our opposition is still arguing that we'll forget our culture, we'll forget our identity, we'll forget our way of living. Forgetting happens with subtraction, I would like to say. But we are only increasing our cultural hemisphere by adding in more values. A testament to this is Japan, one of the most modernized countries, but it is still the land of Ikigai for a reason. It is because it has stuck to its cultural practices and modernized them. That's why it's one of the most modernized countries to today. Why can't we make this happen to our Kashmir? Why can't we incorporate the modern ideas with the Kashmiri ideas? Why can't we make Kashmir a global village which everyone wants to learn from? I would like to rest my voice, but not my stance. Thank you.
Girls in eye-catching tilafirins singing the melodious Vanvun. Vazas in a crisp white attire serving the lip-smacking Wazwan. The kasaba of a graceful Pandit lady worn over a beautifully detailed blood-red firan. The soulful Sufi Chakri, the street player Band Pathar, or the thought-provoking Ladisha are just a few ingrained and inherent varieties of Kashmiri culture. Can we give them any modish or avant-garde name? No, that would totally be a misnomer. Good morning, I, Asad Bakshi, stand before speaking against the motion because turning my hard-earned precious culture into something of a nouveau riche is a strict no for me. While Kangri and the hammam of yore have been replaced by various warming appliances, but the charm of sitting on the pind with Kangri under the firan and talking with your friends non-stop on a cold winter day in January cannot be beat. Oh, the old traditional Kashmiri culture has such an old world charm. Our heritage is a composite of multiculturalism, and preservation of our identity must be of paramount priority. And why should we even accept the erosion of our culture, particularly when it is an amalgamation of brothers in arms, the Pandits, the Muslims, the Sikhs, Christians and even Buddhists? While modernization is no doubt a welcome change, but this revampment and restyling should be in our lifestyle and mindset. Adopting modern practices indiscriminately leads to the erasing of well-defined and well-established culture, and not to forget the harm we are putting the pristine and sensitive scenic beauty of our valley to by resorting to reckless construction of modern infrastructure instead of sticking to the erstwhile methods of planning and composition. The mud bricks, clay with wooden framework would insulate the buildings naturally from the cold. Architectural experts are of the view that modern infrastructure does not favor climatic conditions, wherein the old houses are in fact living examples of climate resilience and sustainable architecture, quite evident in 2014 floods. I feel sorry to say that some parents feel ashamed to teach their children their mother tongue. Instead, they take pride in promoting other foreign languages. But let me impress you, the allurement of the melodic and symphonic words of Habak Hatun, Mehjur, Laldet, and Rasulmir cannot be transformed or compromised in any case, let alone be substituted or usurped by false pretense. Rapid modernization can lead to a loss of traditional values and practices which have been an integral part of Kashmiri culture. We risk losing the essence that sets us apart, though we can adapt and evolve, but not at the cost of losing our identity. I would like to rest my stand.
Thank you so much, participants. Please move to your seats. Now we would like to call Aruj Yasin speaking in proposition of the motion from Birla Open Minds.
We would also like to invite Khan Asmat speaking in opposition of the motion from Birla Open Minds.
Embracing change on Kashmir's land, modernization a guiding hand, balancing roots with the future's call, innovation we stand tall. A very warm greetings to everyone. Today I, Aruj Yasin from Birla Open Minds, stand in favor of the motion. As we know, Kashmir is famous for its cultural heritage. Its date back centuries is reflected in its monuments and craft. And wherever we go, we can see our tradition blended with modernity. And particularly the youth of Kashmir is coming up with new ideas to make our cultural heritage more appealing to the world. But do you know that our Kashmiri culture in its unique significance was not widely known on a global scale? The essence of Kashmiri culture and the significance of our culture was not widely known. But as the doors of modernization opened in Kashmir, connectivity got increased, advancement in technology happened, and people from the world got a chance to know about Kashmir. In today's time, I can proudly say that our Kashmir is visible on a global stage, and our Kashmiri culture is visible on a global stage. There are many celebrities such as Angelina, Rachel, and even the Crown Prince of Dubai have been seen promoting Kashmiri crafts such as Pashmina shawl. This demonstrates that how Kashmiri craftsmanship is admired and worn by famous people. And not only that, but our culture has been portrayed in movies such as Haider and Fitur. They have used advancement to showcase the complexity and the beauty of our culture. And due to modernization, there has been a shift in the importance of language in schools. In today's time, it is compulsory for a student to learn Kashmiri language up to grade 8. This shows that how modernization is promoting Kashmiri language and our culture in the education system. And not only that, there are many influencers who are promoting our Kashmiri culture, who are showing that how Kashmiri people are and how they used to be portrayed. And not only that, but modernization has also opened the door of progress in Kashmir, a bright future in Kashmir. At last, I would like to end my speech with a beautiful quote. Modernization is a canvas on which we paint with the vibrant colors of progress while maintaining the timeless strokes of our cultural heritage. Thank you so much.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am Khan Asmat from Birla Open Minds International School. And today I stand again as the motion of the debate. Evolution cannot be avoided as it's the way of nature. Evolution is about evolving from a cell to the whole mass. One cannot deny the fact that evolution is nothing but an outcome of human activities. When we talk about evolution, we talk talk about modernization at the same time. Modernization can be put as a change. Now this change can be of two types. One, uplifting and degrading. As in the case of Kashmir, unfortunately, the effects of modernization are a major setback. Now the question is why? A society with a strong understanding of its nature will welcome modernization as a way to embrace its culture, and that is how the culture will be preserved. But in the case of Kashmir, it is inverse. In the absence of knowledge about the roots, Kashmiri people have lost their ways, which leaves them vulnerable of not belonging to anywhere, and it leads to the loss of identity and surely on the brink of extinction. Now, talking about the current time, modernization works hand in hand with westernization. Being influenced is normal as our minds are designed in such ways. But at the same time, we are forgetting our culture and taking everything that is Western and not, it doesn't even look like we belong to Kashmir at the same time. What can we see? The effect, right? Now, being influenced is normal as our minds are designed in such ways. We cannot stop it. Our mind involves and embraces the knowledge it gets. Societies through history have been influenced by other societies, but only those societies carried on which were true to their roots. And there are many cultures in the world, each different. That is what makes a culture particular. Now, talking about the evolution. So, as we talked about the evolution, we talk about the nature harmony at the same time. Nature admires harmony, and the world with different cultures is a harmony in itself. Talking about an example. Case 1, two individuals with different culture. They both have deep knowledge about their particular culture. They will exchange the information regarding their own culture, right? And that is how they will accept the points of the other opponent in the light of their own culture. This embraces the morality and the nature. In the case B, two individuals with different cultures having less to no knowledge about their culture. What will happen? They will exchange the ideas and they will lose their own points in the progress. Now, at last, we cannot evolve by forgetting our own culture, our roots, and our history. We need our past for a better future. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Now we would like to invite Mr. Thar to the podium as he would like to address the audience.
Firstly, welcome all of you. I've been listening to a couple of debates, and I'm glad I'm not a judge because I don't think I'd be able to differentiate between one and the other. They're extremely good, all of them. And I think I would recommend to the judges that they should give a prize to all of them, whichever one. Let's not keep it first, second, third. Now they were talking about modernization. My suggestion to the management of the school would be that we must also debate on proper technology and modernization. We'll have a screen. Let somebody come and show their slides. Why not? Why is it that we have to debate only that we don't keep a piece of paper on the table? I don't think that's the right way to do it in today's world. So if a child comes with a paper, let him read from the paper or let him have their points. Even the biggest orators today carry their points because there's a new world that has come in. I personally feel extremely jealous of these young boys and girls here because what they have a future. I wish I had this 10 years ago. Probably I would have turned the world upside down. But you are in a position today where you can and you should. Listening to you gives me great pride where the education has reached today. If I go back only 10 years, I don't think this sort of a debate would be as forceful as it was today. But I'm very proud of all you children, and thank you so much for participating.
Thank you so much, sir. Your words are always an inspiration and an advice for us.
Now we would like to call Sophia speaking in proposition of the motion from GD Goenka.
And Kausen speaking in opposition of the motion from GD Goenka.
We are our culture, and if there's no culture, we are no one. Good morning, esteemed attendees. I, Sufaya, firmly stand in front of you all as a representative of GD Goenka Public School, Srinagar, ardently advocate for the modernization and evolution of Kashmiri culture, as I strongly and firmly believe that modernization and evolution of Kashmiri culture is imperative. In today's fast-paced and dynamic world, it's important for any culture to keep up with the ceaseless tides of change. I can give you numerous examples to prove my point. For instance, the historical lack of encouragement of women education. This raises the poignant inquiry whether such a disposition was morally or religiously justified. I say no, it wasn't. Similarly, emergence of electric hammams and the metamorphosis of our home carpets is an example of how we have evolved as a society. Look around and observe how electric hammams, originally hailing from Turkish or Iranian culture, has engulfed itself so beautifully in our Kashmiri culture. Similarly, contemporary carpets, minimalist designs, and synthetic fibers have replaced our traditional wagus made of straw. Evolution isn't about forgetting our roots. It's about embracing progress into our existing cultural fabric. It's through the prism of modernization that we can attract the attention of younger generations and create a sense of pride in their roots. It's through modernization that we can uplift Kashmir and create a better Kashmir for all of us. The very famous book, Haji Baba of Isfahan, which has been translated into Kashmiri as Haj Baba, is an effort to preserve our linguistic heritage. In conclusion, modernization and evolution isn't a threat, rather an opportunity to preserve our Kashmiri culture, but while embracing progress at the same time. However, all of this must be done very thoughtfully while preserving the essential elements of Kashmiri culture. Thank you so much for your undivided attention. I eagerly anticipate further discussions on this profoundly significant topic. Thank you so much.
Good morning to all of you. I am Kausan of grade 11 from GD Goenka Public School, and today I will be speaking in opposition to the motion. It is of utmost importance that we recognize the negative impact that modernization and evolution of Kashmiri culture have brought about, despite the commonly held belief that change is inherently positive. One such example is the use of power looms over hand looms. While they may offer more efficiency, ultimately it leads to us lacking the intricate and unique designs that hand looms had given us. This not only diminishes the unique designs that we used to have in the past, but it also poses a threat to the livelihood of the artisans, skilled artisans who have honed their craft over this for generations. Fusion and incorporation of various cultures into our own may sound appealing on the surface level, but as we see their effects in the real world, it has done nothing but dilute our own cultural identity. It has diluted our traditional practices and art forms that have made us so unique to begin with. The preposition states that it's only through modernization that we can make the younger generation relate and have pride in this culture that they have possessed. But I believe that it's not necessary at all. We have the ability to promote our culture. We have the ability to make the younger generation resonate with this culture without needing to compromise its authenticity, just for the sake of making it blend with the latest trends that we have. Another point worth discussing here is the construction of hotels and resorts in ecologically sensitive areas for tourism purposes. This doesn't only interfere with the natural beauty that these regions have, but it poses a threat to the livelihoods of the people living in those areas. And as a counter-argument to women's education, the lack of embracement for women's education across our past was not part of our culture, but rather this is a reflection of societal inequalities. We should embrace education for all, regardless of gender. And this shouldn't be seen as a modernization trend. Rather, it should be seen as a trend of development for our good. And lastly, I would like to bring the point up that if the younger generation can only embrace their culture when it's a form of a distorted fusion that's from multiple cultures at once, do they truly have pride for their heritage to even begin with? Thank you very much. With this, I end my speech.
Now we would like to call Hamza speaking in proposition of the motion from Green Valley.
And Angdeen speaking in opposition of the motion from Green Valley.
Starting with the quote, change is uncomfortable but necessary. I, Hamza Gulzar from Green Valley Educational Institute, greet you all present here a very good morning. I am highly honored to speak in front of you all, honorable judges, respected audience, and my fellow speakers. And I am with the motion that this house believes that the evolution and modernization of Kashmiri culture must be appreciated. First of all, what is culture? Culture is a set of beliefs, values, and morals that ethnic, social, and religious groups transmit fairly over generations to generations. And these generations change them according to the times they are living in or according to the societies that have formed around them. Clearly, culture shapes individuals' lives and societies, but ultimately it is people who shape culture. UNESCO recognizes culture as a factor of development. As it mentions in its report, as I quote, culture must be seen as a factor of development, and it has a very different tempo as that of politics and administration. Then talking about the evolution and modernization of culture, culture commonly evolves or modernizes through cultural borrowing or cultural diffusion. But it also takes place through selective elimination, integration, and social acceptance. Now talking specifically about Kashmiri culture itself is a product of evolution, as it has been borrowing from Arabic culture, Persian culture, Indian culture, and even from religions such as Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism. You cannot deny this evolution, as the culture that we all love is an end product of this evolution only. Kashmiri culture contains Kashmiri language, Kashmiri dressing, Kashmiri dance, Kashmiri cuisine, and etc., etc. Kashmiri language is a product of evolution, as it is made up of different languages such as Urdu, Hindi, Persian, Arabic, and it has been evolving and changing the way it was written, from Sharda scriptures to Devanagari, from Devanagari to Hindi, from Hindi to currently Perso-Arabic text. Then, Kashmiri dances such as Rof, which were traditionally done to traditional Kashmiri musics, are now performed to modern day tunes, which results into a broader audience, which results into more and more people knowing about our culture. Kashmiri cuisine includes noon chai. Noon chai actually was not Kashmiri. It was brought by Shahi Hamdan, but our culture involved it in itself. Our culture has always been evolving, and for nothing but a better change. So I must say that even at some point, if modernization overshadows Kashmiri culture, it makes a space so that our culture makes it Kashmiri in nature. I conclude with saying, when culture is the widening of the mind and of the spirit, so how can you constrict it to a single time period? It needs to evolve, it needs to modernize. So the modernization of Kashmiri culture must be appreciated. Thank you.
A culture is just like the roots of a tree. Deprive the tree of them, and it will no longer survive. Then no matter how beautifully you decorate it in the essence of modernization and glory, it would still lose its life forever. Greetings and salutations to all present here. I, Angeline Zahra of GVEI, am hereby standing against the motion. Amidst the awe-inspiring beauty of the Himalayan landscape lies a heart-rending truth. Centuries-old customs that once bound communities together are now slipping away into the sands of time. The vibrant threads of Kashmiri identity, woven delicately through generations, are now at the risk of fraying away. And this is the point where one might wonder, where did it all go wrong for us? And let me tell you right here and right now, that the allure of globalization has led to the dilution of these traditional customs, leaving behind nothing but a watered-down version of the Kashmiri culture. And it's all because of modernization. Even today, the word modernization is synonymously used with the word westernization. But let me ask you all a question.
Is being Western the only way to be modern? Is being Western the only way to be progressive? Is being Western the only way to be open-minded? I say not. But our minds are so obsessed with the Western culture that we are now dominated by an inferiority complex regarding our own traditions. And that is nothing but a very well-calculated move by the West. Congratulations to them. Our culture has always been, our language has always been a cornerstone of our culture. However, there's been a decline in the number of Kashmiri speakers. According to a report by Kashmir Reader, more than 20% of the population has shifted from Kashmiri to other languages. And this is creating a threat. It's a threat to the linguistic purity and integrity of Kashmir. Dear friends, losing our language, losing our values, losing our morals, this is not modernization, this is cultural genocide. This is an attack. It's an attack on the identity and sovereignty of the Kashmiri people. This is an insult. It's an insult to the legacy and heritage of our ancestors, and this is a betrayal of our future generations. Even the United Nations, in its 18th session, held on 22nd April 2019, stressed on the fact that indigenous peoples' traditional knowledge must be preserved and valued globally. And this is nothing but a significant sign that modernization is just a cover face for a magazine for mass cultural extinction globally. Salute to those Kashmiri Pandits, those who settled and migrated in different parts of the world, but always stayed in touch with their roots and heritage and kept it alive. Dear friends, modernization is an alcove of saints and sages, making it pure, spiritual, and divine. Thus, modernization in terms of this divine culture just doesn't make sense. At last, I would like to conclude by saying that modernized Kashmiri culture does not need to be modernized. It needs to be respected and celebrated. It needs to be protected and preserved. It needs to be transmitted and taught. And it needs to be cherished and loved. And if we do not succeed in this quest of ours, our culture and our heritage might as well become a history one day or another. Thank you.
Now, we invite Muhammad Ali speaking in proposition of the motion from International DPS.
And Zara speaking in opposition of the motion from International DPS.
One language dies every 14 hours. It is estimated that of the 7,000 languages we have, half of them will die. Ladies and gentlemen and esteemed members of the House, today I stand before you in strong support of the motion that evolution and digitalization of Kashmiri culture should be appreciated. In an ever-changing world, it is imperative that a culture evolves to meet the needs and aspirations of its people. Ladies and gentlemen, Kashmiri culture is not a static portrait hanging on a wall. It is an ever-changing culture. Ladies and gentlemen, as Dr. Ghani said in 2018, that cultural evolution is the heartbeat of a society. And the heartbeat of Kashmiri culture is steady and it is rhythmic. The modernization of Kashmiri cultural industries can serve as a powerful catalyst for regional economic growth. It was stated in a research done by the Institute of Study for Industrial Development in 2020 that modernization can not only help protect the heritage of Kashmir, but it also helps benefit the regional economics. And it also stated that it creates a symbiotic relationship between commerce and culture. Now, ladies and gentlemen, embracing modernization in sections deeply rooted in our cultural heritage, such as handicrafts or artisanal products, creates employment. And in the survey done by the Jammu and Kashmir Economic Survey in 2021, it was revealed that Kashmiri culture has a lot of artisans, has a lot of handicrafts that people are more interested, that foreigners are more interested in those artifacts. And it was also revealed in the same survey that modernization projects that were focused more on the modernization of agriculture and also tourism generated a lot of employment. Additionally, modernization promotes gender equality. It challenges the traditional role in the society by embracing modern values. Kashmir can become a progressive and inclusive environment. What we propose here is not a sudden development and sudden embracement of westernized ideas, but a delicate and gradual development of a natural progression that would make Kashmiri culture flourish in the modern world. Now, in conclusion, I'd like to say, ladies and gentlemen, that we should not just appreciate Kashmiri culture, but celebrate its modernization and evolution. Thank you. I'd like to rest my case.
It was the time of November and I was getting ready to go somewhere. I wore my fan because I find it quite comfortable, warm and modest. I wore my stole and was about to head out when suddenly my mother came. She looked at me and said, "Se log tha beye pheran, se kutslet mon me ye oizana lagan, se kya de acha wuch baken koran kun, wuch panyan vesan kun, tip kit parche pala lagan." And I just stood there amazed and thought to myself, so now this is where we are getting at. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Zara, today in front of you, speaking against the motion whether the evolution and modernization of Kashmiri culture should be appreciated. Kashmir has a unique culture that has been shaped by its history and geography, and this culture is an important part of the identity of many Kashmiris. But aren't we losing this identity as well? From the story, we can conclude the fact that we are not even comfortable to embrace our own culture. Some of us might think of it as a boon, but can we get real and see the other side of the story as well? We are so highly influenced by this evolution and modernization. Modernization too has its loopholes, which includes that we are losing touch with our own culture, and getting dependent on technology is only going to fade away the significance, uniqueness, and depth of our culture. Moreover, a culture loses its authenticity and becomes a target of various stereotypical misinterpretations. Moreover, Kashmir is a valley where there is already tension and conflict. This may lead to an information warfare and spread of propaganda, making it challenging to discern the ground reality. With the advent of modernization, the traditional artisans might feel pressurized to produce mass-produced, cheaper versions of their crafts. This will lead to a dilution of the authentic Kashmiri craft, as artisans might prioritize commercial viability over preserving traditional techniques and designs. In Kashmir, not everyone has an equal access to digital sources. Rural areas and marginalized communities might stay behind. This disparity could lead to a situation where only certain segments of the population, typically urban and more privileged groups, could benefit from the opportunities provided by modernization. Our youth, our generation, is already losing touch with its cultural identity. Come to think of it, we don't even fully know our language. When we don't know a certain word, we just replace it with some other English or Urdu word. Our heritage is destroyed, traditions are diminished, and language is lost. Think about it. How many of us are really familiar with our own culture? Thank you.
Thank you, participants. Now we invite Kasiva, speaking in proposition of the motion from SRM Welkin Higher Secondary.
And Anleeb, speaking in opposition of the motion from SRM Welkin Higher Secondary School.
Respected Chair, I was 16 when I started researching about the topmost universities of the world and the standards they have to accept students. It was in that moment that I took a pause and asked myself, okay, what have you been doing in your 15 years in school? What have your achievements been? Then I looked at other students from the rest of the countries who were getting in their feats, their achievements, the opportunities they had been given, the quality education they had received. And where did I stand? Nowhere. And it is not just me, but this is the story of majority of Kashmiri students out there. Respected Chair, still a big thanks to modernization that I was not stuck in a Gurukul trying to do rote learning of Sanskrit, Persian and traditional Kashmiri literature, which I wouldn't even understand. I stand here in strong favor of the motion at hand. Before I move ahead, I would like to make it very clear that modernization and westernization shall not be taken synonymously in any way. Respected chair, as beautiful and mesmerizing as the land of Kashmir is, it still paradoxically conceals within itself the distress and problems of the people who call this place home. It seems that time has stood still in this beautiful valley. Modernization does not mean eradication of culture, but instead it promotes an intimate balance between the old and the new, connecting the wisdom of the ancestors with the possibilities of the future. Respected chair, modernization is not degrading culture, it is actually promoting it. Let's talk about digital media, the internet, TV, or radio, newspapers. Even we as Kashmiris have learned about our culture more by these sources. And we are saying that these are degrading our culture? Talk about museums, shrines that are being maintained to keep those places intact, which are holding the people of this region together. The tourist places that are being developed to bring in much needed cultural exchange, to actually promote Kashmiri culture to the rest of the world. How many tourists come to Kashmir just to experience the taste of Wazwan for once? Numerous. And we are saying modernization is degrading culture. If this is not cultural development by modernization, I don't see what is. Not just this, let's talk about how modernization has helped us to overcome problems like the ones we face in healthcare. The traditional methods like Ayurveda, Unani, Panchkarma. Come on, you really expect people to rely on those forever? You cannot keep a patient dying in a hospital bed waiting for a Hakim to come up with a herb and treat them. We need modern medicine, we need hospitals, we need vaccines. That is our only way to move forward as a society. Talk about infrastructure. You cannot keep the wood. You cannot expect the wood patterns in Kashmiri houses like in Daj, Devari, and Tak to withstand against floods that hit the valley from time to time. No, we need more. We need safer infrastructure. Respected chair. Not just this, let's talk about how we need to change cultural stereotypes. The role of a Kashmiri woman in its home. I believe that a Kashmiri woman is as capable of doing academic feats as a man. In conclusion, I would like to say a big thanks to modernization that I am here discussing and debating this topic, or else I would probably enter the room with a sword or a weapon and try to convince you all into believing that modernization is good for Kashmiri culture by fighting you to death. No, I do not want to do that. Thank you.
This is the Kashmir, where the sun goes to sleep in the lap of the evening and the beautiful horizons are found on its lakes. This is the Kashmir about which someone has beautifully said, with the sound of gushing water, aroma of pine trees, the vibrancy of saffron, the rising of azan, and an unfathomable calling. Kashmir truly surprises us all. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Antli Bashik, and today I stand in opposition of the motion that is modernization and evolution of Kashmiri culture should be appreciated. And I say a big no. Let me tell you why. This modernization and evolution that we are talking about, it leads to cultural degradation. And culture is the backbone of Kashmir. Take the example of Kashmiri marids, how they have lost their old charm and simplicity, or the ancient firewood-based mud stoves that were being used. We don't see them existing today. Namda, which was once the most exported handicraft product of Kashmir, is now nowhere to be seen. And this loss in our culture, it might continue to be like this unless we stop promoting high-class fashion in the name of modernization. Respected Chair, modernization is said to be an application of rationality. If rationality forms the basis of modernization, then let's talk of the things that should have been established under its rationality principle. According to Urban and Regional Development Implementation Guidelines, the minimum area of green space required for a city is 587 hectares. And Kashmir's capital city has the lowest green space in the entire country. That is 169 parks or 287 hectares only. And now, according to WHO, every house should have an open space of 9 square kilometers, 9 square meters. But in our case, we have 2.6 square meters only. If we are talking about modernization and rationality, then these are the things that should have been established by now. And imagine the loss in these green spaces due to industrialization, which is again a major part of modernization. Respected Chair, urbanization is again a major part of modernization. While it may surely bring you economic benefits, but it also detaches us from our traditional agricultural and farming practices that were once deeply connected to our culture. Respected Chair, we believe that we children are the propagators and ambassadors of our unique culture. But our arrogance and vulgarity towards our own culture, it should be stopped immediately. We believe we have a lot to learn from all the cultures across the world, but it is our moral responsibility to protect and prevent our own culture. With this, I rest my case but not my stance. Thank you.
Now we would like to invite Nabil Jahangir speaking in proposition of the motion from SP Model Higher Secondary.
And Abrar Rasool speaking in opposition of the motion from SP Model Higher Secondary School.
Should the culture thrive and retain its essence while embracing the winds of change? Greetings to everyone. This is Nabil Jahangir standing in front of you, firmly advocating for the motion. I believe that Kashmiri culture should evolve and modernize to remain vibrant, relevant, and resilient in this era of ever-changing world. And I believe the modernization is not a choice, it is a necessity. And I can prove it to you in the following arguments. Number one, tell me one thing. In this era, when the modern devices are easily available and pretty much easily accessible, if somebody comes to you and tells you to use the devices that were invented by the people of 16th century, by the people of 17th century, according to their that time resources, would you use them? Personally, I won't. If I have an electrical connection and a blower in my house, why should I use the kangri? Let me ask all of you a question. How many people among you use the traditional, the cultural daan in your houses to cook the food? Is there anybody? No. Why? Is it because you hate the Kashmiri culture or you are biased against the Kashmiri culture? No. It is because we have a beautiful gas cylinder in our houses. We are modernized. Another thing that I want to mention here, today we are gathered here and some people here are supporting the modernization and some are opposing the modernization. But trust me, there is nobody who can claim that he or she can stop the modernization. Why? Because modernization is a natural process. It is embedded in our human nature. We humans keep evolving ourselves and modernizing our society from the day when we stepped on the face of earth. Our ancestors used to live in the caves and they moved out of the caves and started to build their huts and houses. Do you think somebody at that time shouted, "Why are you leaving your cultural and traditional caves?" No, because modernization is an ever-going and natural process. Another thing I want to mention here that I am not against the Kashmiri culture and I am not here to say that Kashmiri culture should be upside down. There are certain aspects that are beautiful. For example, the vanvun, the roof and the wazwan just make it a little bit hygienic. It is beautiful. But there are some aspects that need to be modernized because the culture is not a frozen lake. It is an ever-going river. We love our culture, as Amir Khusro says, Agar firdaus baraye zemi ast, hami ast, hami ast, hami ast. And I want to end my case with this question that क्या हम 2023 में रहने वाले लोगों पर लाजिम है कि हम उस कल्चर, उस ट्रेडिशन, उस समाज की तकलीद करें जो 1623 और 1723 के ज़माने के लोगों ने बनाया था? थैंक यू.
Shuhultei shuzos, vakta supronos. Shuhultei shuzos, vakta supronos. Diegatei dan eis, asante gindan eis. Assalamu alaikum. A very splendid morning to each and every one of you. From my intellectual jury to my smiling audience, I, Abrar, a proud student of SP Higher Secondary School, present here to advocate and speak for that very individual who haven't given a chance to experience and express his very own culture because of people like me and like you who modernize their culture, and now that has resulted into such a culture which is far away from its essence of originality. Let me put forth some examples which clearly advocate my point. First thing, language. What is the very first thing a newborn, imagine a newborn in front of yourself, what is the very first thing he will inherit from his culture? What is it? It is mother tongue, his language. But sadly, that's not the case today, as we all are improvising and implementing English language in our newborns rather than implementing and teaching them Kashmiri language. We are ashamed of our identity. And Kashmiri language is very important to us when we interact with each other. It makes a sense of belongingness and chemistry within us, which we have lost, and we are ashamed of it to bring that back. English has more than 160 accents, but let's copy others and let's be ashamed of our very own. And today, as it's the point where we are debating about our own Kashmiri culture, it's a matter of self-introspection that we are using English language rather than our own language. It's a moment of shame for us to be sorry, but I have to say this. Another major part of our culture, which is our attire. The Farron you see today is no longer Farron. That resembles much more with an English trench coat nowadays, and that is not the real Farron. And we may have to go to the museums to show our next generations that, see, this is what used to be Farron. This is what our ancestors used to wear. Another aspect of our culture, which is our rituals and cuisines, modernizing of which has resulted to thousands and countless health issues ranging from obesity to infertility.
We were Kashmiris even when Kashmiri language itself was majorly Sanskrit. We were Kashmiris even under the waves of all the religions and empires that conquered Kashmir. We were Kashmiris even when we were nothing like what we are today. We are truly a culture of change. Speaking of change, we are forgetting, ladies and gentlemen, that we are also a culture that up until a few decades ago was steeped in illiteracy, especially among women. In fact, during the 1960s, the literacy rate of Kashmir was a mere 13%. What was it that brought the educational wave to Kashmir? It was evolution. It was modernization. In fact, according to a report from the UN, modernization and evolution leads to economic diversification and raised standards of living. In fact, the report even states that evolution and modernization is the need of the hour. Think about it. Do we want our culture to end up like Afghanistan? A land forcefully eradicated from the map of evolution. A land denied all modernization. Do we want a North Korea for a culture? A land isolated and stuck in time. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I warn you that shutting off your culture to modernization and evolution births many such Koreas and Afghanistans and Madagascars. Because that which does not evolve decays. Thank you.
So I will start in 3, 2, 1. A very pleasant morning to one and all present here. I, Khalid Khurshid of Delhi Public School, Srinagar, strongly stand in opposition to the motion today. Ladies and gentlemen, let me clarify that I am not against natural evolution and modernization of cultures, and that the proposition is right when they say Kashmiri culture is the product of natural evolution and modernization. They are right. But the motion today is a call for appreciation of this modernization and evolution, making it a product of human endeavor, making it artificial, making it fake. Let us now consider 3 significant aspects in this debate: society, economy, and the nation. The first aspect, the society. Artificial evolution and modernization of cultures fragments communities as they adapt to different cultural changes at different speeds, at different intensities, causing chaos and division and leading to a phenomenon known as cultural fragmentation. This is cemented by the former head of sociology at Kashmir University, Professor Bashir Ahmed, saying that modernization leads to social fragmentation, where communities become disconnected from their cultural roots, affecting social cohesion. Now let us move on to the second aspect, the economy. Ladies and gentlemen, the proposition might have you believe that modernization and evolution leads to guaranteed economic growth, but this can't be further away from the truth. Research conducted by the Institute of Kashmir Studies highlights the decline of traditional indigenous industries due to artificial evolutionary additives to culture, which have led to job losses and economic challenges. The International Journal of Tourism Sciences has noted that modernization has hurt tourism as visitors seek authentic cultural experiences which are distorted by excessive modernization and evolution. To be honest, it's as simple as it gets. People don't come to Kashmir to see ugly cement buildings or eat pizzas. They come to Kashmir to see our magnificent khatam buns, to immerse themselves in our rich cultural heritage and enjoy tabak mas, yakni and all the other good stuff. Last but certainly not the least, the third aspect, the nation. Ernest Renan said that a nation is nothing but a group of people held together by common social capital. When there is an artificial effort to alter this social capital, social accord, it's nothing but an effort to break the nation. Let it be Yugoslavia, Nigeria, or Libya. All of them are examples of this artificial evolution and modernization. All of them have failed. Ladies and gentlemen, the motion today is a call to remove Kashmiriyat from a Kashmiri, Kashmiris from Kashmir, and Kashmir from the world map. With that, thank you all. Have a nice day.
Now that the main speeches have ended, let the rebuttal round commence. The order of interaction remains the same. Participants are to follow the same sequence which was used for their main speeches.
We would like to invite Hadia Hanif from Kashmir Harvard to present their rebuttal.
And Muhammad Adan from the opposition to come to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, yet I stand here again in front of you talking about the same topic. I noticed in the audience that there are many topics that the opposition proposed. That is, the modernization is killing the traditional handicrafts. It is killing the old, and I quote, dance, the ferens, the music, the traditional music, and I quote, the rof, and the language, the Kashmiri language is being abandoned, and this was proposed by the opposition. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that it is the cultural orthodoxy, it is the cultural orthodox people that are present in the Kashmir that are making this cultural evolution a very hard thing. Ladies and gentlemen, if we talk about a music concert that was organized in Badamwari, in which a lot of artists were performing, goons arrived there and they said that this is shameful and un-Islamic and uncultured. Ladies and gentlemen, what kind of cultural unorthodoxy this is? It is the same, it's $1 million question. It is the cultural orthodoxy that is preventing the modernization and evolution. It is the same cultural orthodoxy that is saying that evolution should not be prevailed in the Kashmir and its culture. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say that it is not the abandoning of the culture the evolution does not mean abandoning culture. Instead, it means holding on to the core values and evoluting the same ideas. Thank you. With that, I'd like to rest my case.
Numerous examples have been cherry-picked by the proposing sides, seeking validation from celebrities and crown princes. What kind of joke it is that you seek validation from the West and then you talk about your culture? It's complete hypocrisy. And if you talk that because of modernization, crown princes are recognizing our culture, let me tell you, back in 1789, it was Napoleon who gifted a Pashmina shawl to his wife. And that time modernization was not that much prevalent. So what are you talking about? What nonsense is this? So I'll also like to tell that these people have been telling that modernization has helped us economically in building infrastructures, etc. But they have only presented you one side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. They have forgot to present you the other, the darker side of modernization. Modernization has killed the Kashmiri handicraft industry, which once used to be the backbone of the Kashmir economy. How modernization has affected the beautiful places which Kashmir is known for. Take the example of Dal Lake. Urbanization around Dal Lake has led to pollution, and encroachment on its shores has polluted our beautiful Dal Lake. Thank you so much.
Now we would like to invite Ahmed Ali, speaking in proposition from Burn Hall, to present his rebuttal.
And Javed Ansari, speaking in opposition of the motion, to present his rebuttal speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am pretty much surprised that we have come up here to be so low that people are coming here from the opposition side and making a mockery of English language and English itself. What is this? Come on. And I saw a person from the opposition, I will not take the name. They were saying that Kashmir's pirwar is gone. If you had got little time yesterday, it was Eid Miladun Nabi. I was there at Dargah Zakbal. I saw our Aqidah there. I saw our Pirwar there. This is our Pirwar. This is our Kashmir. This is our culture. You did not get the time. That is your problem. But we who are standing here for the Kashmiri people, we have that Aqidah instilled in our hearts. Also, one person came and they said about marriages. Do you know that 50,000 women have crossed marriageable age according to an NGO? And out of that, 10,000 are from Srinagar alone. Their fathers are in depression, stress and agony and what not. How would you justify that? How would you justify that? You are talking about the marriages, talk about this. Come on, get up and talk about this.
A very vague argument has been raised by the opposition. The preposition. They are saying that we are wearing these clothes, we are speaking the English language. Well, unfortunately, my culture asks me to behave in a civilized manner. It asks me to obey rules and regulations. So unless you want me to take off my clothes, let's talk about a real issue. They talk about changes, let's talk about changes. In every society which is even remotely similar to ours, whenever forced evolution has taken place, it has caused nothing but loss of culture, peril and political instability. Perhaps the preposition did not read the science textbooks because evolution is a natural process and it can't be forced. So I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, why? Why should we not learn from the mistakes, from things that have already happened, from societies that are similar to ours, and learn from their mistakes rather than hang on the hunches of the preposition that they want us to implement something which has worked in a society which is completely different than ours, and it has a very low chance of being better for us. So I ask you, it is time to put your foot down. It is time to make sure that we retain our culture, because modernization is not just about evolution. It is about retaining our culture. And true modernization is when it enhances our cultural identity rather than diminishing it. Thank you.
Now we would like to invite Shanze, speaking in proposition from Presentation Convent, to present her rebuttal.
And Janisa, speaking in opposition of the motion from Presentation Convent.
The opposition claimed that Kashmiri language is perishing. I could not disagree more. I believe with evolution, with the time, Kashmiri language in itself, people have realized that it's very important to preserve it, and I also stand with my belief that the introduction of English language into our jargon is essential for Kashmir to grow global. Another point which was rather off-putting was that we haven't done anything to deserve the title of being a Kashmiri. To that I say that with every day, every effort that we make is one towards the betterment of our community, towards our culture. Every handicraft being sold, every e-com business, every ferend being made is towards our heritage, towards our culture. So yes, I say with my head held high, we are Kashmiris, we deserve the title of being Kashmiri. Thank you.
Proposition support to the evolution doesn't cater to betterment of Kashmiri culture. My opponent believes that we are doing enough for boosting our culture by engulfing original essence and authenticity of our culture. The sense of belonging that our culture provides us with is being taken for granted. Proposition's reference to the idea that without modernization, we won't be able to catch up with the changing times, I believe is incorrect. Provision of mass media, e-com, technology, they have no dependence on modernity of culture. Fact is that resources are expanding and growing, as are India's. Yes, tourism has flourished in past 2 to 3 decades, and the reason is not modernization of culture, but availability of facilities. Tourists visit Kashmir to rejoice in Kashmir's culture and beauty, not to experience their own civilizational principles. I stand affirmative of my arguments, and at this point, where Kashmiri culture is one of the only things binding Kashmir together, it is a sin to think of adulterating the culture. Thank you.
Now we would like to call Noreen from Doon International to present her rebuttal.
And Ainul Sabah from Noreen International, speaking in opposition of the motion, to present her rebuttal.
Well, opponents of mine have been continuously arguing about reviving back the cultural authenticity. But let me put this point into consideration, my fellow dwellers, that if we are so much against the concept of modernization, then why do we still follow the same rules and the same regulations which are put upon us by the modernized society and not the orthodox society? Our Prophet has said, when a man gets married, half of his religion is completed, and those who do not follow my practice are not from me. Yet the ill practice of dowry, the most heinous act from the Dogra regime to the very last reigning king, is nothing but a face abuse in the name of cultural custom. Most of the Kashmiris don't want to get married, or probably are not able to get married due to this very reason. Honorable members of the House, is this the culture that we want to revive? No society is flawless, but the concept of cultural supremacy makes us believe so. And the only solution to that problem is modernization.
Okay, opposition has been arguing that we speak English because of modernization and education has been bought because of modernization. Well, I'll tell you that we are able to speak English because a particular English community have retained their cultural language. If they would have continuously changed or modernized their English language, then I don't think we would have any common medium to communicate. And let me tell you one thing, I would like to put very special emphasis that modernization can buy you literacy, but never education. Education and literacy are poles apart. I would love to differentiate between them, but time doesn't allow me. I'm talking about cultural evils. See, if modernization can eliminate one cultural evil, simultaneously it's buying 10 other evils along with it. Materialism, the racism, intense poverty, it's just because of modernization we see in our society. So, Honorable Chair, I would like to address you that if modernization in society has been able to put out the fires, then we must not forget the very crises that are arising because of modernization. So it's time to actually never let the modernization destroy the uniqueness of culture. And we should respect and celebrate the cultural identity. Thank you.
Now we would like to call Krishna Manohar speaking in proposition of the motion to present his rebuttal.
And Asad Bakshi speaking in opposition of the motion from APS Srinagar to present his rebuttal.
Is this even a debate? The answer is quite clear. Modernization and westernization are two different things, I would like to argue. Modernization means to implement modern ideals. Westernization means to copy the Westerners. Modernization means to implement the modern ideals like democracy and secularism. And here you're saying that modernization and westernization is the same thing. You're saying that English is not a part of Kashmir. Then why are we going behind it? I am saying use English to connect with the world, but not leave Kashmiri. We are modernizing it. Modernization does not mean leaving our culture. I would like to say more again, modernization does not mean leaving a culture. Modernization means including other cultures to make ourselves a global village. Kashmir is no longer isolated. Kashmir is a global village now. It does not mean compromising our culture. It means adding more culture to make Kashmir a better place to live. No culture means no change. If there was no change, there would have been no culture. And yet the opposition is arguing that we have to preserve our culture. Preserves culture? It is already being preserved, I would like to say. At this, I would like to rest my case here.
Modernization just leads to erosion of our unique culture. It destroys the uniqueness. And finally, will we be satisfied after seeing our precious culture and artifacts in a museum and a person wearing the farran be considered an antique? Is this what your modernization preaches? Is the concept of modernization just an euphemism? Euphemism for the erasure of culture, our unique and inherited culture that we keep so close to our heart. Is this what your modernization preaches? Do we just accept while our scenic beauty is covered in a dust cloud? Do we just wait until finally our precious and pristine scenic beauty, precious beauty just succumbs to a dust cloud and there is nothing to see but concrete forest? Is this what you preach? Thank you.
Now we would like to invite Arooj Yasin speaking in proposition of the motion to present her rebuttal from Birla Open Minds.
And Khan Asmat speaking in opposition of the motion to present her rebuttal from Birla Open Minds School.
As it has been said earlier, modernization and westernization go hand in hand. But today, let me clear a doubt that modernization and westernization are two different things. But unfortunately in Kashmir, the people of Kashmir today are disguising modernization with westernization. They are saying if a person is wearing Western clothes, if a person is speaking Western language and eating like the people of West, they are modern. But no, my dear friend, modernization is something, if in today's time you have smart boards in your classroom, that is what modernization is. And if today's time every student is getting good education, that is what modernization is. And if today's time we have a good and a better healthcare in Kashmir, that is what modernization is. And there are some people who are saying that with modernization comes westernization, and our minds are designed that they will get influence. But no, my dear, if we have to get influence, why don't we get influence with Dubai, which is the sophisticated city of 21st century? It used to be a harsh desert, but modernization diversified its economy. And in today's time, you can see Dubai as the sophisticated country of 21st century. But you can see the people of Dubai, they are rooted with their culture. They speak their language, they wear their attire, but at the same time they are modern. So can we Kashmiri be modern and at the same time be rooted with our cultures? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as it has been said earlier about healthcare, employment and the education, let me clarify this. Talking about globalization, the Western people are adopting our culture, but we, the Kashmiri people, are forgetting it. Tell me, do you see any fun there? No, absolutely not. Now talking about the healthcare, let me say the dopamine level has increased from 2 nanogram per milliliter to 4, and because of that the youth has become aggressive and very compulsive. And now the drug abuse, it has reached 8% of the Kashmiri population, which is about the half of the Kashmiri population. Now talking about the employment production, let me clarify this fact. Jammu and Kashmir has one of the highest unemployment rate, and that is 18.3%. So here what we see, the destruction, right? We are forgetting our culture. So this is the main motive here. Now we talk about culture. No, this is not the thing. So these are my points. Thank you, everyone.
Now we would like to invite Sophia, speaking in proposition of the motion, to present her rebuttal from GD Goenka.
And Kausan, speaking in opposition of the motion, to present his rebuttal from GD Goenka.
Well, the opposition said that we have failed as a society to preserve our Kashmiri culture. Well, I clearly refuse. I don't agree to the fact that we have failed as a Kashmiri society because we are not preserving our Kashmiri language. I think you're forgetting about the various authors we have from Jammu Kashmir who have made efforts to preserve our Kashmiri language, such as Dr. Naila, a very famous and a prominent writer from Jammu and Kashmir, has made so many efforts to preserve our Kashmiri language. She has written more than 4 books till now. And in addition to that, the opposition also mentioned that we here Kashmiri artisans are actually feeling pressurized. So I would literally like to contradict to the fact that they feel pressurized, because today I think Kashmiri artisans are earning more than people who are dependent on power looms because of the royalty associated to handloom products than the power looms. Please, for God's sake.
There's all this talk about preserving our language and preserving our culture in many different ways. There's this talk about bringing up minimalist designs and everything with modernization. But the underlying issues in our society are being totally ignored that have come with modernization but are not recognized as such. One of them is, in our culture, it has always been deeply rooted for us to have close-knit relationships across neighborhoods, where even strangers are like family. But today, this has been replaced with a society where we favor individualism and isolation over these bonds. We live in a society where the top priority for everyone is personal success over welfare of all as a whole. And this isolation isn't only harmful for the adults, it has been resulting in increased rates of suicide and substance abuse among the youth. And little children, kids who grow up in these environments, they are at a high risk of developing disorders like Down syndrome or even autism spectrum disorder. And this is all a part of modernization because things like this didn't happen in the past. Another aspect to this is late marriage. Late marriage is also a part of modernization. This thing wasn't regularly practiced in the past.
Now we would like to invite Hamza, speaking in proposition of the motion, to present his rebuttal from Green Valley.
And Angeline, speaking in opposition of the motion, to present her rebuttal from Green Valley.
First of all, I would like to highlight the point that research of Harvard by various anthropologists and sociologists state that all human civilizations develop but at a different pace, and Western civilizations have always been ahead of us in that pace, which makes us believe that our developing ourselves, modernizing ourselves is westernization. While as it is just an illusion, it is not westernization, we are just modernizing ourselves and moving towards progress. Then second point, at some point where Kashmiri culture needs to be changed by another culture, needs to be completely changed by another culture, leaving nothing from the Kashmiri culture behind, it leaves a space, it leaves a vacuum for the Kashmiri culture to give it its own Kashmiri touch, to make it Kashmiri in nature. It is never totally apart from the Kashmiri culture. And at last, I would like to suggest that there is no harm in making a global village. There is no harm in connecting ourselves to other communities and creating chances for better communication, better transport, and better development. Thank you.
So the preposition is of this belief that modernization causes progress. But the reality is that modernization does not cause progress, it causes regression. It isn't development, it's degradation. It isn't liberation, it's oppression. And it definitely isn't innovation, it is imitation. Like, let's be real for a second. What have we got by modernizing our society? Inequality, definitely. Consumerism, corruption, alienation, and lastly, violence. Modernization is nothing but a form of cultural imperialism. It's just a disguise for mass cultural extinction globally. It leads to loss of faith, loss of morals, loss of ethics that have defined our identity. Would you lose your culture at the cost of modernization? I don't think so. Would you lose your identity at the cost of modernization? I don't believe in it. Thank you.
Now we would like to call Muhammad Ali speaking in proposition of the motion to present his rebuttal from International DPS.
And Zara speaking in opposition of the motion to present her rebuttal from International DPS.
Now coming back to the opposition's concerns, I find it quite amusing that the opposition would suggest that modernization equates to cultural obliteration. But let me make it clear, ladies and gentlemen, that modernization does not erase our cultural identity. We are not advocating for mindless westernization, but a thoughtful integration of culture into the contemporary realities. Now, I would like to suggest that the opposition to take a look inside their English books. The literal meaning of evolution, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is gradual change of something. According to PubMed, evolution cannot be stopped. The only way to stop evolution is extinction. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say that we are not the relics of the past. We are a modern society. We have the wisdom to preserve what is ours and adapt to what is necessary. But if we do follow the opposition's logic, we should revert back to living in caves and communicating through smoke signals to essentially preserve our culture completely. At the end, I'd like to quote the former Prime Minister of Singapore. He said that we were a mud swamp, we were a mud flat, but now we are a modern city, and in a few years we'll be a metropolitan city. Thank you.
Well, I came across many statements that were saying that modernization has flourished social media, which is making us learn more about our culture. But have we taken a second to check that information? The information provided for our culture on social media is partially incorrect. We see many stereotypical misinterpretations about our culture on social media, and this is attacking our heritage. Moreover, what is with this point that modernization will help us to improve our cuisine, our traditional music, or folk dance? Aren't we just in the long run merging it with other things and just losing control over our culture? Thank you.
Now we would like to invite Kasiba speaking in proposition of the motion and Andleep speaking in opposition of the motion from SRM Welkin Higher Secondary School.
Respected Chair, I stand in strong favor of my stance, and I believe that modernization is our only way forward as a Kashmiri society. Modernization does not necessarily need to be coming from the West. If something else is happening, something good is happening in any country of the world, we can implement it to move forward as a society. If Aryabhatta didn't invent zero, would we have computers today? They have become an integral part of our lives. So it does not mean changing our culture. It means benefiting it with other changes from the rest of the countries or any other part of the world. Respected Chair, yes, I do believe that urbanization is occurring. People are moving into safer homes, better facilities, but that does not mean they are leaving their culture behind.
Let me ask you a question. Which place is the hub of Kashmiri cultural development, artifacts? Where do tourists come to witness all of these sites? Srinagar, right? If it is a city, then why is culture being promoted in it if modernization leads to degradation of Kashmiri culture? The Kashmiri Kangri, the mascot of Kashmiri culture, yes, it had its harm due to its daily use. People stopped using it much for their daily use as we have safer options. But talk about weddings, how we are glamorizing Kashmiri Kangri's weddings, Kangris in weddings to burn the ismant. I believe that the generations coming next are glamorizing Kashmiri culture more than our ancestors ever will. Thank you.
Respected Chair, it is very easy for some people to stand on the high moral horse and defend what is totally unacceptable. The respected opposition keeps talking about balancing traditions and modernity without knowing that this comes with the hardcore challenges of generation gap and conflicting values. And then they talk of the modern medicine and all the wonders that it has created. But I would like to remind them of all the hazardous side effects that these modern medicines have on us, including the shortening of lifespan of different people. Now, they talk of, they keep bragging about westernization not being a part of modernization. But let me remind them, when a particular idea travels from one part of the world to another, it doesn't travel alone. It travels with all its customs, with all its traditions. And thus, while in some parts it might be true, but in certain parts you are totally incorrect while saying that westernization is not a part and parcel of modernization. I thank you, respected Chair.
Now we would like to invite Nabil Jahangir speaking in proposition of the motion to present his rebuttal from SP Model Higher Secondary.
And Abrar Rasool speaking in opposition of the motion to present his rebuttal from SP Model Higher Secondary.
What the opposition has done today, they have intermingled the process of westernization with the process of modernization. Where westernizing our society means to murder our society, but modernizing our society means to make our culture and society everlasting and ever living and evergreen. Brother, modernization, ladies and gentlemen, is not a threat to the culture, but it is an adaptation to the ever-changing contemporary environment. The opposition has made a claim that Kashmiri language is in threat, although the majority of Kashmir speak in Kashmiri language. Our parents, our religious leaders deliver their sermons to us in the Kashmiri language. But yes, the English language is equally and extremely important. For example, this debate, it's been recorded. When it will be posted on YouTube, because it's in English, every person from California to Tokyo, from Moscow to Sydney will understand this debate. But if the same was recorded in Kashmiri language, not even the people of the neighboring state Jammu will understand this, because the English language is the international language and it's extremely important. Moreover, the opposition has made the claim that the Samavar and the Kashmiri Vanmun are in the threat. My brother, they are not in the threat. Every marriage, from royal marriage to poor marriage, are incomplete without the Samavar. Thank you.
As my opposition is still confused in what modernization and westernization is, I want you all to imagine a scenario. Imagine you're at a wedding and you just woke up, you're feeling hungry, and the essence and aroma of noon chai catches you. And what happens? And when you taste it, that smoky flavor at the end of your tongue, that remains in your mouth for a long period of time, and that is the originality of our culture. And my opposition was pinpointing our own culture for the floods in 2014. You know what? Our culture wasn't behind this. Even your modernization was behind that, because the pollutions, the global warming, ranging from global warming to all kinds of pollutions, modernization is after that. Look at me, look in my eyes and question yourself. Is modernization after all those calamities, or is our culture? Until next time, thank you so much.
Finally, we would like to invite Saleha Khan speaking in proposition of the motion to present her rebuttal from DPS Srinagar.
And Khalid Khurshid speaking in opposition of the motion to present his rebuttal from DPS Srinagar.
Ladies and gentlemen, the opposition has constructed pillars and pillars of lies today. They have claimed, and I quote, that we do not have the best of languages and the best of cultures. Really? Is this what you think of our culture? What is this but an inferiority complex in our own culture? I argue that it is not natural phenomena like evolution or modernization that pose a threat to our culture, but our own shame in our own culture, our own inferiority complex that coming to our own culture that is posing a threat to us. The opposition also seems to be confused when defining culture itself. Sometimes they call Kashmiri culture a duplicate culture, and then they claim that our culture is our title.
I disagree. Your culture is not your title that you go on showing off on your heads. Your culture is a common thread that binds all of us. Our culture is a silent accord between all of us Kashmiris sitting here in the room right now. The opposition also claims, surprisingly, that hotels and resorts ruin our beauty. Well, regional proliferation can only be guaranteed by evolution. We cannot live like cavemen.
So I will start in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, a scientist was asked, is there anything such as infinite time? Ladies and gentlemen, I know the answer. Infinite time is when I start to deconstruct, and I start to deconstruct and address the illogical fallacies that have been presented by the proposition. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a basic misunderstanding of the motion today. The motion does not read as evolution and modernization of technology. The motion does not read as evolution and modernization of infrastructure. So I fail to understand how will it help us to elevate literacy? How will it help us elevate the poor people? So the second argument was that they have appealed to authority. It does. If a smart person, if a really popular person says something or does something, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is true. People commit suicide. Do we commit suicide with them? I don't think it's logical, is it, ladies and gentlemen? Then third, there was the caveman argument, a really recurrent argument in their discourse. In this caveman argument, they said that nobody's hampered the caveman from going outside the cave. But ladies and gentlemen, we also have to understand that nobody asked the caveman to get out of the cave. Nobody asked the caveman to get out of the cave. He went out of the cave on his own accord. He went out on the cave on his own will. And that's what, ladies and gentlemen, side opposition is arguing today. We want Kashmiris to be given the right to do the things that they seem right, to do the things that are right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a nice day.
Now we would like to invite any of the judges to the podium to share their opinion on our debate.
Respected faculty members of the institution, students who have come, my students who have come as escorts to the teachers, and the students who are participating in this event, and the students of Delhi Public School, Srinagar. A very good afternoon to all of you. This is in fact my second chance to judge a debate at DPS Srinagar, and to share it very frankly with you that I didn't have time today to come here. I had so many engagements at my own place and my own institution, but now I don't regret that. I am happy that I came here because I got a lot to learn. Interacting with the students here and listening to these erudite expositions on the theme, I really feel learned now. I really feel that something, I shall be carrying something back home. Now, I have a regret as well, and for that I would, that regret is why I came, because it was a very tight position to be in. All the speakers were so good. All the speakers were so well prepared. The research they had done, it was so exemplary that we as judges were in a really tight spot. And as Mr. Dar earlier said, that all of them should be given the prizes. But you know, we as judges, this ugly job of declaring who is 1, who is 2, who is 3, we have to do that. And we will do that, but it doesn't mean that who is 1 is better than the others. It would be the difference of just a fraction of a point. Because you know, I personally felt that all of you were equally good, and I congratulate all of you for participating and doing such a commendable job. Now about the topic which was chosen for the debate, you know, it's a topic something which is very close to my heart. Kashmiri culture, modernization, and what's happening right now. I think, you know, since I have done the judgment now, I have jotted down the marks there, I can express my opinion about it. Culture, as we say, culture is actually the sum total of beliefs, the values which we cherish, which we hold, and which we practice. And it's something which is always in a state of flux. It's something which is always in a state of change. It's not something which we can hold. So it's not something which we can stop. Culture, this cultural change, it always follows a particular pattern. The pattern is that the bigger cultures, the powerful cultures, they, in due course of time, they subsume the smaller cultures and the less powerful cultures. Now, when I say less powerful culture, I mean that you have something like imperialism, you have something like economy, you have something like technology. All these forces make a particular nation powerful. And when one nation dominates another nation, when the subjugation ends, when that imperialism ends, by the end of it, when we look at history, these subjugated nations, they do not have a good record of liberating themselves. What exactly I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say right now, we are talking about Kashmiri language. We are not talking about Kashmiri literature. We are talking about Kashmiri culture. But the language which we're using, that's English language. Now we had a choice. We had a choice that we could have discarded English language after independence. We didn't. Because it's something which is a contribution of imperialism to India. Now, can we discard, for example, you have Chinar here. Now, is Chinar Kashmiri?
No, sir. No.
It's something which has come from Iran. We have maple here. Maple, is this Kashmiri? No, it's not. What I'm trying to, Taj Mahal, had Mughals not come to Kashmir or India, Taj Mahal would not have been there. You have CST, that Victoria Station in Bombay. What a beautiful railway station that is. You may give it some other name, but the beauty of that station is still there. India, after independence, after 1947, it emerged as one country. But if you see what India was before the coming of British, it was a combination of so many smaller states. But when British left, they contributed something. What basically I'm trying to say, that when cultural change take place, it's actually a growth. It's a process of growth. It's a process of evolution. And even if we want, can we stop it? Can we stop? If we want, like some students quoted very beautiful examples. Like, if we have a better option, like Kangri I do not want to use. I have a better option. Why to burn my clothes with a Kangri when I have a better option? Now, I will still say Kangri, but when I don't use it at my home, I don't have any moral right to advocate the use of Kangri to those who don't know about it. Now, this was my personal opinions, and obviously when I was judging the event, they didn't influence me because, judgment is not simply on the basis of the content. Judgment is on the basis of the delivery, how powerful your delivery was, how authentic your research was, and how you were able to make a coherence between the different ideas which you presented. Judgment is based upon that. And there are two things. One is being subjective and one is being objective. And when we sit on that seat, we try to be very objective at that time, even if what the student says, even if that doesn't match your opinions. And before I part, I would like to congratulate Delhi Public School Srinagar for organizing this wonderful debate, well-organized debate, and the kind of ambience which they have created here. There's a lovely ambience, like this free space. I enjoyed this free space here. It was not a typical kind of hall where there is suffocation. So this freedom means that you have a freedom of expression as well. And Delhi Public School is known for giving that space to the students where they can express themselves, where they learn the art of expressing themselves. And thank you so much for giving me an opportunity, and best of luck to all of you.
Thank you so much, sir. Your words of wisdom shall forever stay with us.
For the time being, we would like to call our principal, Ms. Shafaq Afshan, to the stage to present a memento to both judges.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my worthy judges for taking time from their busy schedule. And I would like to extend my gratitude to all the participants and the teachers. Please convey my gratitude to your worthy principals for taking time and participating. Because this topic was very different in the sense that seeing today's world changing every day, and this new generation who is on to welcoming change more than us, but that touch of culture is the identity which everybody carries to wherever, in whichever walk of life you move into. As that brings you a different person in aspect of personality and the upbringing and taking your culture and approaching people through your ethics, morals, and the impact what your culture has taught you in the form of traditions, in the form of your thought process. So my request to this new generation is, whatever you learn, whatever you imbibe, never ever forget your roots, because that is what you belong to. And as parents, because what we see nowadays is that upbringing new generation is a very tough time for the parents, but this aspect, although parents try and give it to every child, but you as new generation should put in your effort also to imbibe and take it further.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, judges, for being here and taking precious time out of your schedule, sir. We are very, very, very grateful. Now, this event went pretty well, I guess, from the opinions of both the judges, our principal, and our chairman. All I can say is that a large thank you goes out to both our administration, our organizing teams, our coordinators, and to me and my friends who helped make all this happen. I hope that next year that we are only bigger and better. Now that we are talking about events of intellectual discourse, I will have to create a shameful plug-in. DPS MUN is also hosting DPS MUN coming up in October 27 to 29th. So guys, please spread word. It is going to be an MUN that has never been held in Kashmir. It is the first of its kind, the first that is being held completely by a school. So we ask all of you to only foster it, help spread word, and participate. Because I guarantee all of you will have fun. I get to finally hand over the stage to Zainab, who will be presenting her vote of thanks from all of us.
Good afternoon to everyone present here. I'm Zainab, and I, on behalf of DPS Srinagar, extend my heartfelt gratitude to you all. There are many people to thank, starting with our esteemed participants. We appreciate your dedication towards making this event a hub of productive intellectual forum. We must also extend sincere gratitude to our judges, Dr. Masood Malik and Dr. Sahil Ahmed, for sharing with us their extensive experience and excellence in their respective fields. Thank you, sirs, for your time. Of course, this event couldn't have taken place without the organizers of this event, Rehana ma'am, the active members of the debate club, logistics members, and respected Ms. Saeed Sumera. Could we have a round of applause from the audience? And of course, we extend our deepest admiration and gratitude to the esteemed principal, Ms. Shafaq Afshan, and the exalted chairman, Mr. Vijay Dhar, for their endless support of our literary co-curricular endeavors. Last, but certainly not least, we thank the audience for their enthusiastic participation and endless patience. And thus, the Interschool Debate of 2023 draws to a close. Now we hope that the results will be satisfactory and fair to all those present here.
We'd like to invite our esteemed principal, Shafaq ma'am, to felicitate our worthy participants and winners and our venerable judges.
The first award that we'll be presenting is Best Speaker. Any guesses? Solia Khan!
Can we have a huge round of applause?
Now, we will be giving the award of runner-up. Presentation Convent!
Can we have a huge round of applause? Finally, the most awaited award, the winner of this year's Inter-School Annual Debate. The best school is DPS Srinagar! Can we have a huge round of applause?
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, our precious judges. Thank you so much, participants. Thank you so much, in-charge teachers. And thank you so much, our patient audience.